We are African, and we happen to be in America. We're not American. We are people who formerly were Africans who were kidnapped and brought to America. Our forefathers weren't the pilgrims. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us. We were brought here against our will. We were not brought here to be made citizens. We were not brought here to enjoy the constitutional gifts that they speak so beautifully about today. Because we weren't brought here to be made citizens today, now that we've become awakened to some degree and we begin to ask for those things which they say are supposedly for Americans, they look upon us with hostility and unfriendliness.
Oh, now Sheikh of the streets, what's happening, y'all? Welcome back to Real Spit Television, an intersection of culture and consciousness. You know what I'm saying? Y'all already know every episode, new individuals, new authenticity. So today I got my guy with me. Introduce yourself.
What's going on? I'm Malik Salaam, resident, native of Atlanta.
For sure.
Been here my entire life. Can't remember a time when wasn't born here. Little known fact, Malik Salaam was not born in Atlanta, Georgia.
Where you was born? Bro, this is like this is like a big revelation at the beginning of the show. Where you from?
I was born in DC.
No doubt. Shout out to DC.
DMV area.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? All up through there. My parents is actually from like Jersey and Philly.
Okay.
And up, my family, my mama, my dad is from East Orange.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Right. So they met in DC, had me, and migrated.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Down to Ellenwood.
Oh,
you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
my first stop.
Your first stop
in the metropolitan area.
Okay, one in a minute.
One in a minute.
Look, I was just telling brother Malik before the show. I said, look, man, I fancy myself as a traveler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I said, if I know one man that dotted every dot and some more, is you.
I done dotted some dots, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I done dotted some dots. You know what I'm saying? I've been my life has been travel.
For sure.
You know what I mean? I don't know how that is. Like, even if I get into like some type of career, I'm gonna always find myself on the road.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's just been like a lot of movement,
right,
you know, in my life. Indeed.
So before we go any further, you know, I got these sponsors. I got
to shout sponsors. You got sponsors.
I got to shout the sponsors out.
Deal with the sponsors.
You feel me? So look, first and foremost, I'm gonna give a shout out to RTG Ready to Go Printing. My guys Hodge and Mooley, black owned, good work. All my print work I get done through Ready to Go. You can follow them at Ready to Go Printing on Instagram. I got to give a shout out to my brother, Tijani, Faith Family Funds. Check them out on Instagram at FLifeLonnie. I want to give a shout out to my brother, my partner, DJ Youngin. Heavy Grind Radio, new podcast, y'all. Y'all check it out. Follow him at I am DJ Youngin at Instagram. And last but not least, I want to give a shout out to all my brothers behind the G-Wall. All my brothers and sisters behind the G-Wall. Look, inhale, exhale, get greater later. So look.
Indeed.
So, you know, one thing about me, you know, when I was locked up, I found myself, of course, reading, but not just reading, but getting into the arts.
Okay.
You know, we all come from, ain't nobody in the hood that don't rap. This is what it is, you know what I mean? So, you know, I came from that culture, you know what I mean? But once I got locked up, I started reading poetry, and so I found myself when I got out with a real appreciation for art.
Yeah, you know, because we come from the same environment, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, my exposure to poetry and stuff like that was early, because it was in my school environment. The funny part about it is, for the most part, for a large part of my scholastic endeavor, I just didn't gravitate towards school. Right. I didn't gravitate towards the structure of learning. Right. You understand what I'm saying? So there was a lot of things that I missed, right? And then when I went to the military, so I go to the military.
Right. What year was it?
93.
Okay.
I leave for the military like 2 days right after graduation. Ooh. Like I don't go on no end of the year trip. Yeah. I don't tell nobody I'm going. There's a few people who know I'm going, but I'm out. You know what I'm saying? And I found myself in the industrial complex. Right. You understand? So just that not the same thing. Right. But that structure that they have in their complex. For sure. You understand what I'm saying? The indoctrination, the institutionalization.
It worked kind of the same.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, I was in the military getting in trouble, so you
Right, you get locked up.
You know what I'm saying?
You catch the store.
You down to just that uniform. Yeah, you understand what I'm talking about? Yeah. And them boots and no facial hair and count. You know what I'm saying? And that type of thing. Right. So, but it's just another iteration of the complex. Right. You understand? And but in there is where I started to discover like some of the stuff that rediscovered back for the first time. I was reading books that were class assignments that I never read. Right. Or I read like a paragraph, 2 chapters, and then went to the encyclopedia and found what they said and looked at somebody else's paper and found what it said and just wrote a book report and turned it in. You understand what I'm saying? I wasn't paying attention, but in that place is where I found like this love for writing, you know what I'm saying, and poetry. And, and it was dope, man. I got hooked quick.
Let me take you back, because of course I'm some years junior. So I'm gonna take you back to the first time I think that I heard that somebody told me you did poetry. So as a youngster, and I guess starting out my little trek through the, you know what I'm saying. So in that moment, I thought I knew what street dude was. So I know, Malik, that was my big homie street. I'm a big street homie. You know what I mean? So now somebody tell me my big street homie do poetry. So as a youngster, I had problems coming to grips with this. I'm like, poetry,
listen.
But this Malik. So how did you?
Listen. So the thing is, man, like I look back at my if motherfuckers say, "Oh, I'm a street nigga" or whatever. Right. I look back at my time in the streets as a very short-lived, very early experience. I was an early arriver in my environment. Right. My environment was a very structured environment. I was very outside of structure.
But now you were like, I'm thinking of somebody in the league that had a short career, but it was stellar. You were like Tracy McGrady or something.
I mean, it was
niggas in the streets like, man, if you wouldn't know.
I know some people. Right. I've been some places.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
you understand what I'm saying?
For sure.
But at the end of the day, I realized as life went on, that I was exposed to not just that environment, but all environments. Right. So that I would be able to speak and understand our society in a different way.
And that's what I think I'm asking you, as somebody who had at that moment, even as a young man, established that street persona per se. Yeah. What inside you? Because there's a lot of young dudes like that.
Number one, that's where I spoke from. You know what I'm saying? Right. So the misnomer was Malik was out here doing some damn, roses is red, violets is blue.
Oh, nah.
You understand what I'm saying? And the reality is...
It wasn't no...
The reality is the type of art that I create comes from a place of those who have not, and especially have not a voice. Right. You understand what I'm saying? And that's who I speak for, because that's what early on I was not only attracted to, but I was exposed to. Right. You understand what I'm saying? And I came from an environment... See, even though I came from a structured environment, you have to understand, from Islam, right, coming out of Islam, most of the older ops that I looked up to, had came out of penitentiary anyway.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Right. Whatever they had grown, Malcolm X comes out of the penitentiary anyway. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Like that's what I was coming from. So there was a certain type of aggressiveness and disregard for American structure.
Anyway.
That came from when I was in.
Right.
So
I
wasn't so me naturally, and that's not that all of the men in our environment were that, but there were enough that you could choose your example. Right. You know, I knew brothers who never received a paycheck. Right. They made their own. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So naturally, as I grow, and then my music. See, I'm part of. Can't ignore the music. Right.
Come on with it.
I'm part of the gangster rap generation.
Man, look.
I'm
for real. Yeah.
I'm part of the onslaught of that.
Right.
I'm part of the beginning of that. You understand what I'm saying?
See, that's what I'm saying. Like when I say I'm an '80s baby, I was young during the onset of gangster rap.
Listen. Yeah. I remember reading about crack in my weekly reader.
You feel what I'm saying?
In the 4th grade, they put it in a weekly reader where you see these little newspapers. I read it there. Right. You understand what I'm saying? It was already part of the culture. Now it started part of the music. Now you're starting to see your big homies, cats that you look up to, like, you know, they doing it. They got Porsches and they 19. You're like, what is going on over here? You understand what I'm saying? So there was a pull and a force, man, that was alive during that time where, you know, I mean, you could choose, right? But it didn't seem like a big choice,
right? It was an easy choice.
And it seemed like the other choice was just so lame.
Yeah, like I can't like that. That's the other choice. Like, the other choice. But you know what I tell folks now that I'm older, I think like that's what I want to show youngsters. Like it's other, because I know if you give me them same 2 choices, I understand why, but it's other choices.
Well. There's always. We always feel like we got to be something or another. Right, exactly. We forget that life is about balance. It's about the light and the dark. Right. You understand? Right. It's about 2 unlikely forces coming together to create the yin and the yang. Right. We forget that. You understand what I'm saying? But if we know that, right, if we get in touch and in line with that, we realize that we need both. Right. You understand? We don't have one without the other. If we do not have an understanding of this, and that's not to say everybody got to be in the streets. Right. You understand what I'm saying? But you better understand that there's something.
You're right. For sure.
You know what I'm saying? That really holds together, the have-nots hold together the architecture and the structure of what this really is. For sure. You understand? It's like that Yertle the turtle. I mean, it's a lot of people sitting up here, but it's somebody down here that everybody's sitting up, holding all of this up. Right. So don't look. It's a garbage man. You feel what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? Sure. Guess who go hang on the back of a garbage truck? The street nigga. You feel like don't get it twisted. Right. And that's not a downgrade. That's saying my dexterity for being able to do what I gotta do is past what regular folks into. You feel me? You understand what I'm saying? Right. I don't judge myself like that. Right. I gotta go out here and get it. I gotta go out and get it. Yeah. And that's what we're talking about. So yeah, man, you know, coming into the arts.
Right. So you said when you went to the military, you started reading poetry. So I kind of wanted to wait to the second half, but I definitely so big homie doing poetry. So I'm getting back to it, bro. So I'm like, but guess what? I was that kid too, if you remember me. Yeah. I was the kid into the street, but now I was a straight A student. Yeah. So now I'm like, damn, okay. Yeah. Big homie might be on to something.
Hey, listen, man. I you know, the thing about going through any time in the streets, man, listen, man, you know, the nigga experience is what I call it, right? And anytime you experience any level of the nigga experience, there's a lot that sticks with you. For sure. And it'll stick with you for a long time. Right. You understand what I'm saying? And you don't shake that easy. Yeah. But I was able to take a large portion of it and dissect it. Facts. You know what I'm saying? Right, exactly. Dissect it and bring it into the arts.
And I think what I tell people is that it's like a tree. Now you plant that seed and water it. See, with children, we gotta understand. Just tell them, cause with me, I know a lot of my ability in the streets to really be able to analyze stuff came from my structured Islamic environment.
Yeah.
And just being able to think my way through.
I mean, you can be in something and you can be of something.
Exactly.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And this is what I hold true at 46 years old, is that I might have been in the streets.
Right.
And I might have jumped in and out of the streets from time to time throughout my life.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? I've lived a lot of it.
Right.
You understand? I've been in environments that I'm also bringing the streets in.
Right.
You understand? They ain't got no place in it. You understand what I'm saying? Because once you're exposed, you're exposed. But the flip side of that is, I've never been of it.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It can be on me or it can be in me.
Right.
There's been a lot of stuff that I've had to wear out here on me and take it off.
Right.
But there's only certain things that are in me.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And therein lies the difference.
I remember when I was in prison, I used to tell dudes, I'd be like, man, I'm just passing through, bro. I'm just passing through, like, I don't care how long.
Which is why you come out with a certain mind state.
You feel me?
You understand what I'm saying? And other brothers that you know and sisters that you know come out with a different mind state. Because at some point, you had to realize, oh yeah, this just on me.
Yeah,
I'm just wearing this.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? And when I need to, I can take it off. And when I need to, I can put it back on.
For sure.
But at the end of the day, it's one of them things, them sci-fi things where you be having it, they get this new skin.
You right.
And then all of a sudden, they wear it too long.
And now they can't get it off.
Start, what I'm saying? They can't get it off. The Spider-Man type shit. You understand?
Shout out to my partner, Heavy. Now, I got a partner named Big Heavy. We finna go to break. He gonna be mad I'm telling this story.
Okay.
Big Heavy a good dude. I'm talking about good heart. He out and I did like 20 years. Real good hearted brother. And he Big Heavy. So, and he, dude, like 400 pounds, like 6'2". So, once I got to know him, I started calling his real name Leroy. So, I call him Leroy. So, he get mad. I say, look, bro, remember you not Big Heavy. You became Big Heavy when you came to prison. Don't forget you Leroy, man.
Man, listen.
You feel me?
Listen. We got to go to break, though. Listen, you ever seen this documentary called Bastards of the Party?
No.
Check out Bastards of the Party. Bastards, it's on the screen, of the Party.
Check it out.
You understand? It's about the creation of gangs. Right? And long story short, when they get to the end of the game, the whole documentary, they start to show the people who have died doing this thing. And they start with their nicknames and they replace it with their real names.
Exactly.
So that we can remember this ain't
Lil Uzi
or Black or
Killer
or Pete or Junior.
You know what I'm saying?
This ain't none of them.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? This is Leroy.
You feel
this is Malik Salaam, or this is Ishmael Muhammad.
You know what I'm saying?
This is a person,
a real human being,
and we put this stuff on and we wear it too tight.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? And too long.
Right.
You understand? Because, hey man,
but that's real though. So be in it, but not of it.
Man, listen here. Sometimes you can't judge what a man born with and got to do sometimes.
You feel me?
But you got to understand what it is. The difference between being in and of anything. Right. You know what I mean? Right. You got to decide what's going to be inside. Right. You know what I'm saying? And decide what else is just the armor to make it through this thing.
For sure. So with that, look, we're going to go on a break. We're going to check out some music. I always drop some new music from some guys I know. No telling who it's going to be, but definitely it's going to be authentic. I got my brother, Malik Salaam. This is Sheikh of the Streets. This is Real Spit. We'll be right back. Oh, nah.
Man, when you were young, they told you could be anything in life. You said, I want to be a doctor. I want to be police. But then, the hood happened. Then, the gangs happened. Then, the weed happened. Then, the pussy happened. Then, the money happened. Then, the guns happened. And now you just looking for a way out, you hear me? Shit. I remember when I was young, man. I wanna be so much shit. You know what I'm saying? But the more I looked outside the window, the more I wanted to be outside the window. The more I wanted to be out there. You know, let them 12 years old. I was a young nigga. You know what I mean? I remember first getting out there, probably around 13, smoking that weed and feeling like, yeah, this is it. It's freedom. You know what I mean? But after a while, you know what I mean? This shit became a prison in and of itself. Getting high just to feel regular. You know what I'm saying? Just to hide from the pain. You know what I'm saying? But guess what, y'all? Guess what? You can still be whatever you want. That shit ain't even changed. Guess what? The world is yours, my nigga. You can still be whatever you want. Just put your mind to it. Shake of the streets.
Oh, 9 Shake of the Street. Welcome back to Real Spit Television, the intersection of culture and consciousness. I'm your host, Sheikh of the Street. I'm back with my guest, my brother, Malik Salaam. So we're going to get into your journey through the arts, man, because I know you've done so many things just dealing with the arts. So I know, from what I know, this is the first time, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Def Poetry Jam.
Def Poetry Jam. So by the time I got to Def Poetry, I had already... So rewind a little bit. So I'm in the military. I get kicked out of the military, right?
Yeah.
All kind of foolishness going on. So anyway, I get back home, and because I had found poetry in the military, I had started doing these poetry readings, like on the boat. You know what I'm saying?
Shit.
Like that was the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like Million Man March. I ain't in DC, but I'm on the boat, like doing poetry. Like cats coming to my rap for poetry. I knew I had something with this thing. People would send them in letters. I was the poet. You understand what I'm saying? So when I came home, I already knew,
I'm gonna make this jump. This it. Yeah.
I'm gonna be like Gil Scott Heron. I'm gonna be like,
okay.
I had a thought. Now I had done some research and realized I'm gonna be something.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna take this and be, you know what I'm saying? And you gotta understand, Outkast had already dropped.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? This is after me finding poetry though, but then Big Rube shows up on these records.
Oh, nother lane. Shout out to Big Rube.
Shout out to Big Rube. So in my mind, I can be street and intellectual and poetry. And
right.
Boom. I get out and start finding these open mics in Atlanta. You understand what I'm saying? First one, Mecca. Shout out to Mecca under the Wu-Tang store. And this is right after the Olympics, right? And so it was years. That was 96 going into 97. I started doing poetry like in open mics. And it wasn't until 2001 that I did that poetry. You understand? I had already been grinding with no prompt. There was no such thing as that poetry.
Oh, yeah.
There was the whole lane we were carving out.
Oh,
that poetry caught on to our way.
Right. He just put the face on it.
We already had created a way.
He's just the businessman behind it.
There was cats in New York at the Nuyorican. There was cats in Baltimore. There was cats in DC in the U Street corridor. There was cats in LA and Philly and Memphis and all up and down Florida. They had already created a wave of poetry. You understand what I'm saying? The cats was coming through spitting. You know what I'm saying?
So the culture was already there.
The culture was there. You know what I'm saying? These cats most of the time, you know what I'm saying, at worst they're culture vultures. At best, they just latching on.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Right. So even with that poetry, I only really got on that poetry to be keeping it a rap. Because they weren't really checking for me like that. They was getting other Atlanta poets, but I was like, in Atlanta, I was like, I was Mr. Standing Ovation. You understand what I'm saying? But they weren't really checking for me like that. My homegirl from the West Side, shout out to Mika Harper, George and me. She got in that office and she cussed them people out. She said, y'all tripping. Atlanta holds it down.
Yeah.
And Malik Salaam was at the top of the list. And they brought me up. And I did that poetry. And it was cool. It didn't even. I don't even think it was supposed to be for me like that. You know what I'm saying? It was supposed to be, but it wasn't. It wasn't supposed to take me in the direction of where I was supposed to go.
Right.
It was supposed to be a stop, another stop along the path.
Right.
You know,
I guess it was just something that you know, for people on the outside, you know, but that's how it always is.
That's how it always is.
You know, people on the outside, oh, he doing.
Yeah. But for me, it was like, you know, it's even like with the spot I got now, like the sanctuary is big, it's dope. Everybody's like, oh, the sanctuary is like that. But I've already had one of these.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of these situations. You know what I'm saying? And for me,
shout out to the sanctuary.
It appreciate it. But for me, it's the journey. You know what I'm saying? Like these places are stops to where I want to ultimately be. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still on that journey.
And I think that's a beautiful concept because you know when I was in prison, I meet so many different people, older guys, and I'm listening to stories, and I'm like, man, these dudes done live long lives. So you look at this little blip, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's over. But these dudes looking at it like, man, it's just part of life. You know
it's just part of life. I mean,
part of my journey.
Yeah, it's just part of my journey because, like, even for HBO Death Poetry, I mean, they had flooded the market. Russell them, you know, shout out. But when you don't understand the culture, you know what I'm saying? They have flooded the market with all of these poets. It was you know what I'm saying? But instead of doing like he did with Def Comedy and giving us 50, because see, you don't really get the Malik Salaam experience unless I rock for about 15, 20, 30 minutes.
You know
what I'm saying? One poem is cool, but there's a connection that needs to be made on that stage. Right. You know what I'm saying? And only certain poets can do it. Right. I mean, I literally can. Maybe if I was just being generous, I could use both hands twice to count the number of poets in the country that I feel I can really hold. You understand what I'm saying? Hard. It's hard. You know what I mean? And so, but that's also back to your point. That's also because of life experience.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you have to really give the people?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. What have you really lived? You know what I'm saying? What have you experienced?
And I think this is my new appreciation for art, because it's really, as an artist, you're taking something intangible, which is you, and presenting whatever medium of art you're using.
Exactly.
You're giving you to and giving it to the world,
which is why IP is the number one commodity.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Airbnb is an idea.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? Facebook is an idea.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? This is just and connect the dots and give it to the folk. Right. You understand? So IP becomes like a very huge commodity for this country. We dismiss as entertainment, but they know.
They know.
You understand what I'm saying? And that was one of those lessons I learned from HBO Death Poetry. They saw us. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people look at it like, oh, HBO Death Poet, yeah. Right. Yeah, cool. Right. It gave us some more exposure, but we was already out here in these streets.
When you talk about it, it's kind of like analogous to like the beginnings of hip hop with the record. These big record companies.
Yeah. Exactly.
They weren't really a part of the culture per se. They just saw the wave.
They just saw the wave. You know, they saw the wave. And if you don't control the way that they present the wave, right, they'll let the wave crash out.
They on to the next thing.
They on to the next thing because they're not of it. Right. This is not. It's not in
like
them.
It's not there.
It's not in them. This is deep. I know poets who are now in their 50s. Right. These boys still on open mics. These women still tearing down stages. They still catching flights here and there. Because this is what they are. You understand what I'm saying? It's deep in them. Even now, I'm 46 years old. I don't see myself never. Right. My uncle, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to my Uncle Ed. And then, recovering right now. And he dealing with what he was dealing with. And this man steady talking about his art. Yeah. Because he's a filmmaker. You know what I'm saying? And he's 69. He just had his 69th birthday. Right. This man down. Like, man down. He says at the same time, I was like, hey, call my business partner. I got something to percolate him, man. You know what I'm saying?
Like, man, show go on.
Show go on. Because it's in you. You know what I'm saying?
That is life.
That is life. Right. And I think that's even the theme of what we're talking about here. Like, whether things are really truly inside of you. Right. You know what I'm saying? Or whether you're just doing them because
it's the wave.
Or that's what you're exposed to. Right. Or that's all you can see right in front of your face. I couldn't tell you how that thing was gonna play out. Man. It was no HBO Death Poetry when I started doing poetry. Right. Cats was like, I had cats coming like. I mean, I had been a couple places. I had homeboys that was walking up to me like, yo, bro, I heard you like a beatnik, bro. I heard you like doing poetry or some shit. Like, it was
like niggas looking like,
yeah. What the fuck is wrong with this dude? You know what I'm saying? Where's the money in that? I had cats ask me like, how you gonna make money for that? I had older brothers like, so how you
gonna take care of family like that? They ain't give a fuck about what art, nigga. How you gonna take care of?
Yeah, don't get it twisted because I had children.
Right.
And hey, but I still had something inside of me
that you got to express for sure. So I'm trying to get along in your career.
Okay.
So you got Def Poetry Jam.
Okay.
From there, I know that you do short films now.
Yeah. So from HBO Def Poetry, we get a Cliff Notes. You know what I'm saying? I did a couple other things. Robert Townsend had a network. BET would do shows on BTJ, and you know, so they would have these things, and I would always, you know, find myself in those places, and then, you know, bigger venues like Center Stage, we would open up for Last Poets, and you know, it became that, you know what I'm saying, a lot more touring, some more the same, but it'd be a lot of colleges, you know what I'm saying, and what happened is I started to feel kind of closed in, so shout out to my man Rob Holloman. I had this idea about this documentary. I was in New Orleans. I did this show in LA. My man, he had got this record deal with his poetry. Amir Suleiman, shout out. And I had went to record for his album and went up to LA and did some things. And I came back to New Orleans and kicking it with my people. And I just had this idea about taking my poetry and intersecting it with interview footage from crackheads and homeless cats and Vietnam vets. And my man Rob Holloman shows up. I tell him about it. He shows up with a camera. I didn't even have a camera. He bring me a high camera, and I'm still doing poetry. But now I'm traveling and I'm stopping to get interviews when I'm in Oakland, and when I'm in this place, and when I'm in that place, and then I bump into my man who has AIDS. You know what I'm saying? He went to Frisco to be a pimp. You know, because I know people.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So my people up there, boom, I'm connecting with folks, and I put together this documentary called Lost in the Rumble. And it got, you know, the Congressional Black Caucus brought me up and put me on a panel, me and Jesse Jackson and what's the Armstrong Williams. We all on this panel together. They in bow ties and I'm in polo and Air Force Ones. You understand?
For sure.
But being part of the conversation,
right?
And quickly, and it made me really fall in love with film. Because that documentary was
a crazy medium. That film,
it's a crazy
man.
It's
look,
a crazy medium.
I read something, and I don't know how historic. You know, you read all these, you know, pamphlets they pass out at 5 points.
Yeah,
they, you know, but it was talking about in Druid mythology, like you know how all the magicians always have wands. All the wands could only be made from the holly tree.
Okay.
So it was Hollywood.
Okay.
So they were saying, you know, how Hollywood.
Indeed.
Yeah, but it hit me because the medium of film.
Oh, it's a powerful thing. See, one time me and my brother Sultan Kareem, we were talking about music and its effect on our generation.
Right.
But I made the point that what was really powerful.
Right.
Is when the music video came out.
Woo! See.
It was one thing to listen to the lyrics.
Right. It was one thing to see them.
It's another thing to see the rump shaker. It's one thing to hear it. It's another thing to see it. You dig what I'm saying?
And what's crazy, as soon as you said it, I went straight to the rump shaker video. I zoned out for a thing.
Listen.
Yeah, you're right.
It's one thing to hear Luke. It's one thing to hear NWA. Yeah. It's another thing to see Boys in the Hood.
Right. Facts.
Now there's a real blueprint.
Right.
Now do we have a problem here?
Right, because
takes a different thing. I know how to lift my shirt.
You feel me?
I seen it. As you know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that to say, you know, and what comes first, the chicken or the egg? But you know, at the end of the day, when I found the medium of film and I was able to take my poetry, reach such a large audience, push it out there, get that type of attention, become part of the conversation, I knew I wanted to make films. Right. You know what I'm saying? So then I just jumped in. Like my next project was a feature film. That was the next thing I did. I you know, and this is me, you know, taking the streets into places they don't need to be. Right. I didn't even know how to make films. And I was a struggling artist. My kids be staying with me, and I found this place called Wonder Roots where I could edit the film, and I would have to go get these books. You know, shout out to Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, facts.
I would go get these books. You know what I'm talking about? And so yeah, so and I studied and I learned. You understand what I'm saying? And I put that to good use.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I've been moving in that field since then.
Right.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
So I'm always interested, like, cause I find myself being like, a lot of times now when I'm dealing with a show, like I might be like the only street affiliated dude in the, you know what I mean? And so it always tripped me out, like to hear people talk, and I had to curtail my comments, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like just the other day I was with my homegirl, and she was like, I'm gonna call the police. I was like, let me go ahead and get out the car for that. I can't be a part of that, man. You know?
But you know what I found amongst my particular group of artists that I know a lot of regular ass folk.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And when I first got in the meeting, it was kind of crazy because I'd be in there smoking Newports and shit, and these motherfuckers be cigarettes, and they were real peace and blessings, and a lot of head raps. But once it started getting popular, you know, the niggas was like, alright,
I got something to say to shit. You know how many niggas got something to say?
and to be honest, for me, that's the dominating part of the art form for me. That's the people that I'm around.
For sure.
I know real folks that ain't, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I can go right around the corner right now. Man, look, I got brilliant artists who look, they gotta wake up and do whatever they gotta do.
You feel what I'm saying?
You understand what I'm saying? And so I'm just saying all that to say, you know, we pigeonhole things sometimes.
Right.
No lie though, when I first got around, I was like, oh, these people weird as shit.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? You know, there's a lot of peace and blessing.
Yeah.
Everybody was hugging. You know, people weren't eating meat. This was back, like I said, 96. It wasn't no vegan restaurants.
Nah,
kicking like that. Like, not like how it is now. There wasn't no popularity to them.
Yeah.
So these people, and they sticks they chewing on and all these little weird little ways.
Yeah.
You know, although I know some Muslims like that, but not really my man shit.
Right.
My man shit was your regular Atlanta folk.
Right.
Now you go to the West End, you go to the other mansions, you might see some other garb and you know, the sticks and all that. You know what that is. So it wasn't foreign to me, but for my generation it was weird.
Right.
You know what I mean? And but I also fell in love and in line.
For sure.
You understand what I'm saying? Because light always overpowers dark.
And one thing I know, and one thing I realize about art is that it really is transcendent.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, when you vibing on an art level with somebody, they can be a white boy from Omaha and y'all just really locked in. You know what I'm saying?
Even when I first started doing poetry, one of my early people that really like supported my art was this white audience that used to be in the back of the Earl, and they used to do these events called this a long time ago, Kaleidoscope. And it was this one white boy, you would see his graffiti, his tags everywhere. This boy used to get locked up and go to prison for this fucking.
He going hard.
He went down the road. That's how many times he got locked up for graffiti. They ended up sending the boy down the road because he was Gravity. My man, Gravity. Gravity used to be everywhere. And Humble, that was his other tag.
Yeah.
He tagged that shit everywhere. He was dope, but it would be a whole nother vibe.
Right, exactly.
And that's what I'm saying.
Right.
And I think my strongest suit in life, and even in the times and places that I was in the darkest, that I didn't close myself off to the experience.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Even when I'm in situations that may seem uncomfortable, there's still something I try to get from it.
Sure.
You understand what I'm saying? And that was the real thing, man.
And the reason I bring that up is because one thing I realized when I was locked up is we have so many talents. Because like you say, nobody is one thing. So yeah, this dude is little so-and-so who just shot a dude at the corner store, but little do you know, he been drawing comic books since he was 6 years old. And I meet the dude in prison, I'm like, you got talent, bro.
Exactly.
You know, but we feel so stuck. But
we also only nurture it on a certain level in our community.
Right.
We nurture it at the success level.
Right.
We nurture it, like I said, I was a weirdo.
Right.
In my own community.
Right.
But then I do HBO that poetry.
I'm telling you, you see how I
HBO that poetry, right?
Success driven.
But there's a whole lot of space.
Right.
But something has to be developed.
Right.
For it to even get there. And what we do as a society is, and as a community in particular, is, and if we can't attach the monetary value to it, we don't attach value to it. You know, that shit don't make no money.
Right. And
how do we know?
Exactly.
We don't encourage the overall building of something that has to grow.
That creativity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for creative sake.
Yeah.
You know, not really thinking, what am I gonna get out of it, or what am I gonna use it for? Just being creative.
Right. And create something and really, you know, have the opportunity to master it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And although life didn't necessarily give me that opportunity, I took it.
You
know what I mean?
Right.
And I had to.
And there were a lot of sacrifices you had to make along the way.
Man, I'm 46, man.
Right.
I'm all white. You know what I'm saying?
All white.
I'm cocaine white, man. Listen, I did not, and that didn't come. That's not hereditary. That came because I actually cared about every part of the component of the thing I was dealing with.
Right.
But I had to do this.
Fact.
And I'm better for it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I tell people there's a verse in the Quran that Allah says, to each is a goal to which Allah turns him. Mm-hmm. And I tell people, man, you know, everybody got something in them.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to heed that call.
Mm-hmm.
But I was telling my cousin this. I said, you can spend your whole life, and then at the age of 40, 50 years old, be like, man, fuck it. I can't do it no other way. I got to do it my way.
Yeah.
You know, or you can start young, developing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So for sure, you know, you're a better man for it because that's what God put in you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I believe that. I'm grateful for it, man.
For sure.
I'm grateful for it, and it hasn't always been. You know, you know, when they talk about the gift and the curse, and they're just talking about the hardship and the joy. I mean, it's both.
It's both.
You know what I'm saying? So if he says, verily with every difficulty there's relief,
right? Then
you got to know that with every relief there's
difficulty. Right? It's just like grandma used to say. You said, baby, everybody want to go to heaven, don't nobody want to die.
Don't nobody want to die.
So you got to die to go there. It got to be some pain there. Yeah. So, you know,
that's even the thing as an artist.
Right.
As an artist, if you're truly growing as an artist, you're constantly dying and reincarnating.
Right.
You're constantly bringing out something new, and that is what has to be at the forefront of art. You know what I mean? It has to be able to that reincarnation of talent.
Right.
You know, and giving people, because if what's that Ali quote where he says, if you thinking the same at 50 that you did at 25, you wasted 25 years of your life.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we should be growing.
Right.
And we shouldn't be discounting art once it falls into the hands of those who have more experience.
Right.
You know, this is more the time we need to be hearing from them than less.
Right.
Right. We give this because Hollywood wants to create this Peter Pan young image.
Right.
You know, that's that spell they talk about. You know what I'm saying? They want to keep you forever young and not and never get you wise.
Right.
Right. And artists my age, 40, 45. Up in here, there's a lot to be said.
Man,
50, a lot to be said.
Man, look, bro. I tell dudes, like, rap has grown, rap has matured. So what I enjoy as a fan is that I can listen to rappers that's 50 or getting close to 50. They talking about grown man shit, and I respect the youngsters for talking about what they talking about.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
But it's all still my culture.
Exactly.
And see, that's the one thing that our generation did is it put a bridge to that generational gap.
Exactly.
And it lives in the music. See, this is the power of the art.
Right.
This is why it is in me. Right. Because I recognize the power of being able to be able to even bridge the fact that I can appreciate, you know, something from Lil Baby. You understand what I'm saying? And my kids can appreciate something from Jay-Z.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? But we're in the same music. Our parents and us didn't carry over the same music.
Right. When think about it, it's a young dude on the block that investing in clubs or invested, he might only hear about investment through older rappers, through Rick Ross, through Jay-Z, niggas on the block. You know what I mean? So this is the importance of the older generation still taking part in the culture.
Indeed, that's real. Yeah. That's real. That's the only way that they see Rick Ross and Puff Daddy buying liquor companies.
Right. So
now in their mind, niggas can buy liquor companies.
See, we ain't see that. I mean, I'm not saying that we didn't have the opportunity.
No, but because we were part of the early development of something. Exactly. Where these people were still just glorifying one lane of it. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Right. Even when they started to get the money and that became a thing, it still wasn't the wisdom. So it was just the celebration of money.
Yeah, we were all immature.
We went from streets to
new money
to Cristal. Yeah. Those are just the development of the culture.
Right, exactly.
You understand? So just like we grew, the culture has grown. Right. So now the culture has investments and ownership and all that is part of it. You know what I'm saying? But some of us, even me being in art, I was ahead of the curve.
Right, for sure.
I knew that people wanted to hear about something other than just that.
Right. And that's what I want to ask you, because we running out of time. You already know. Right. But so what space do you occupy within the culture right now?
Right now, filmmaking is my primary. Okay. And running a close second with that is creating this place called the Sanctuary.
And in closing, that's why I wanted you to speak on.
And the Sanctuary is a space for artists, created by artists. It is.
We filming in the Sanctuary.
We're filming, so we rent it out for podcasts and photo shoots and film shoots, and we curate events. Right. We have the G Spot every third Saturday. We have the Acoustic Garden every last Saturday. We have the Best Damn Poetry Show every first Saturday. Right. So it is about curating and keeping that culture alive.
For sure.
Right, and those people who want to keep letting it develop. You know what I mean? The Sanctuary Art Asylum.
It's on the screen.
This is on that screen. The SanctuaryArtAsylum.com. We have memberships where we get discounts for rentals and that type of thing. Okay. Yeah. So it's
what is it on Instagram?
The Sanctuary AA.
Okay. The Sanctuary AA again. It's on screen.
Like you need AA. Yes. Like the Sanctuary AA for sure.
And the beauty of the name is that, out here moving and grooving, paying bills. If you're an artist, and not even just an artist, but you love art, you need a sanctuary where that's really the only thing going on.
The energy that's created in this space, and it's intentional. And it was intentional in this space when we had our first sanctuary on the Edgewood. It was intentional. Even before then, we had sanctuary in the duplex off of Eileen and Deal. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? It was intentional in creating a safe haven where people could come in, they could fellowship, experience the art. The name is intentional.
Right.
We want people to be able to come in here and relieve themselves and connect.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Sure. With other people, with their spirit, with their ancestors, with the divine. We want you to come out feeling full. So that's the type of events we curate. And even in the space, when we do our rentals and stuff, we want people to have the freedom to come in here and create something really dope. You know what I'm saying? And feel comfortable doing it. Okay. So that's what we own.
All right. Well, look, man. Time is of the essence. But look, brother, I appreciate you coming on.
No doubt.
I appreciate you being a trailblazer in the hood. I said how I said.
I speak for me and mine.
You feel me?
You understand what I'm talking about? Sure. Yeah, believe it.
This is my guest, my brother Malik Salaam. I'm Sheikh of the Streets. This has been Real Spit Television, an intersection of culture and consciousness. Check us out on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Music, whatever, Amazon Music, whatever you got. Type in Real Spit TV, I'm gonna come up. Until next time, stay wise and civilized, y'all. Oh, now.
That was dope.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you, bro. And all of them, if you could get a couple pictures, go ahead with your iPhone and just send it to me. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Look like you need glasses. So.
She did so bad. You can tell. But my whole hope for the picture.